Hey there YouTube, Love to Boat 92 here. So I thought today, since we have an insane amount of rain, hopefully you guys can see down there, that is a huge puddle. This entire thing, all right in there, is just a huge puddle. And I'll probably split some wood here later. However, I want to do some cutting on all these logs here, so I figured we'd do some firewood cutting with the $77.66 Chinese cloned chainsaw of awesomeness. So let's get started. Hopefully I got everything lined up here that you guys are going to be able to see this. Let's see, I'll stick the phone there maybe, and then I'll probably forget about it. Yeah, hopefully not. The saw started on the 9th pull today. See if it'll start up again. Yep.
In case anyone doesn't know, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of getting the camera set up for the right angle. I have this is an SJ4000 Wi-Fi action camera on a hard hat on my head, and I have it paired with the phone, with my cell phone. So my cell phone, you have to switch Wi-Fi networks. So you have to turn whatever Wi-Fi you're using. I don't want to say off. You just switch to another network. But the action camera puts out its own Wi-Fi, and that's basically what I do to make sure that I can get everything in frame for you guys, so you guys can see exactly what I'm seeing. This action camera, I think I figured out a better way to transfer the files in this thing. I used to take the micro SD card out and put it into a regular SD card, then into my computer, transfer the files from my computer, or from the micro SD card to the computer, and then from there I'd upload it to Google Drive, and then from Google Drive it would go on to the cloud, and then from the cloud it would go to, I could use it and edit it in PowerDirector, and then from PowerDirector finally over to YouTube. So it was a pretty lengthy process, and what I actually did was I now take the micro SD card out and I put it in. I bought this is like an adapter that goes to the power port on your cell phone, and I put it into that and then put that thing into the power port, and then hopefully I'll be able to make these videos a lot easier, and it won't be such a lengthy process. But what I do now is I have to shut down the phone, shut down my cell phone, and then pull out the battery, take the SD card out, put the one in from, or the micro SD card out, and then put the one from my camcorder, or from my action camera, into that. So it's definitely, it's not perfect, but I think that adapter thing that goes into the power port will really be a huge help for me. And I also bought, I bought 4 batteries for this action camera. So I have 5 batteries total with this thing, and the batteries last quite a long time. So I am a lot happier than what I've been with this thing. Now I know the sound isn't great on an action camera, and maybe at some point I'll get a microphone or a mic that clip on or something. I don't know, we'll see. But anyways, this is a couple ash logs this was from that big 5-foot ash tree that fell over. I sold some of it to the neighbor, and there's just a few pieces left that I'm just going to be cutting up with the Chinese chainsaw here. This log here was in pretty sound condition. There really wasn't any rot on it. There was some on the end that I started cutting first, But really, this whole log was it was in really good shape. And whenever this tree fell, this log got pushed into the mud about 4 feet. And there was about a 4-foot hole whenever we pulled it out. So I am really amazed at how much this log had sunk into the ground just from the force of that tree. So I thought that was kind of neat. Now this thing is covered in mud. It was in the mud 4 feet, so it had mud the whole way around it. And then with us dragging it to its spot, where it is now, there's more mud into it, or in it. So I don't know, it's I may get some, this is a full chisel chain, I may get some semi-chisel chain, just for the simple fact that those chains don't come to a point, and they tend to stay sharper longer, because they don't come to a point, and the metal is less likely to dull, if that makes any sense. But I'm cutting these logs into about 15-inch length, and that's a pretty good length for for a fireplace or something. And I think it's neat watching the snow melt here from the exhaust. I just think that's kind of neat. But this chain is cutting pretty good, and the saw is running pretty good from what I can tell. I may have to back off the carb adjustments on it. I probably have it revving a little high and leaned out slightly. But they say, I don't know, this thing has you're supposed to idle at 2800 RPMs, and I don't know what the max is for it, when you full revs. But this is a good little saw. It's not something that I use every day. Well, I don't run the chainsaw every day. However, when I do use it, it does get used a decent amount. Like today, whenever I film this, I burn through pretty much an entire tank of fuel and bar and chain oil. So, all in all, this saw is still a good little saw, for $77.66 shipped to the door here. How can you really go wrong? Now, some of you might remember I switched out bars and chains. This is a pretty new Echo bar, and I don't know if I got a chain with this thing. I might have. But that came to $75, so actually this saw now is about $150. Maybe $160 after tax and whatnot. So I guess the saw really isn't $77.66 anymore. It's about $160 saw. So I just thought I thought that was kind of funny, because I could have gone out and just almost bought a brand new saw with a bar and chain, and the whole 9 yards, brand new, for the price of a name brand bar and chain. So it's that's just the way things are, I guess. But this log, like I said, it was covered in, there was a lot of mud in this thing. And generally, whenever I cut logs, or I cut wood, or trees down, what I do is I try to get the trailer as close as I can to the log that needs cut up. And the reason for that is I try to get the least amount of mud possible in this thing. If the tree has bark and stuff on it, the bark just holds the mud like crazy, and then after a couple cuts with your chainsaw, it's dull. And if you'll notice how I'm cutting with the far side of the chainsaw there, the far side of the bar, that is because I'm trying to keep the teeth and stuff the chain out of the dirt as much as possible. So if I can cut with the far side with the tip of the bar and it's pushing the chips away, theoretically that would throw the dirt away also. It's not dragging it through a whole bunch of the other teeth. And that's really that's what I've learned to do when the logs and stuff have a lot of dirt in them. In the next video, I still have to edit it. And actually, another thing, my action camera, the files that it produces, so the videos that it produces are in an MOV format. They're in I guess that stands for movie format. And PowerDirector does not, you can't edit videos that are in MOV format. So one other thing that I have to do is I have to convert the files, which you can just download a file converter off of the Google Play Store, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it works pretty good. It does take some time to convert these files. The day that I filmed this, cutting the wood and also splitting these logs, I had about 55 files. So I filmed for roughly 55 minutes, and I did a lot of filming that day, and I think I switched batteries in this thing halfway through. So this is a pretty good little action camera. I'm not trying to say that just because I own one. It's a great alternative to a GoPro. So what's nice too is I set this thing on the ground. I just took my whole hard hat off, set it on the ground, and since this camera has such a wide angle lens on it, you can really see an awful lot. And you don't have to have this thing super lined up like with a regular camera, like my cell phone does. My cell phone has two cameras, actually three cameras on it. One, I guess it's a normal angle lens, and then another camera with a wide angle, and then it also has the front-facing camera. And my cell phone is an LG V20, in case anyone's wondering. Actually, this cell phone is a great phone for a creator like myself on YouTube. I have the 64 gigabyte version, so this is pretty much all the features and everything that you could buy for an LG V20 with the biggest amount of memory. So anyways, I'm just finishing up cutting up these ash logs, and this log here on the right hand side, this one had more rot and stuff in it. It's funny how it seems like the bigger logs don't want to rot as quickly as the smaller logs do, but I guess that's just the way things are, I guess. But it's amazing how much wood it takes to fill one of those IBC totes. You guys might remember a few videos back, I made one with a roof, and since filming that, I had a total of 3 of those IBC totes, and I have turned all 3 of them into a firewood holder bin, I guess is what you could call it. And I'll tell you what, with a roof and stuff, that is the absolute best way to store your firewood, hands down. I show those in the next video whenever I'm doing the log splitting, but I'm just about done cutting up these ash logs. And it's amazing how much sawdust is made when you cut up wood. This whole area is covered in sawdust, and it really stands out in the snow versus like the grass. The grass, you really don't notice it that much, but in the snow you really notice all the sawdust everywhere. And the saw, the Chinese chainsaw is, it's kind of leaning out here. Hopefully you guys can hear that. I'm running kind of low on fuel, and I probably should have stopped and just filled this thing back up again, but I really didn't have that many more cuts to make, and that's just the way things go, I guess. That first log that I rolled over, it was pretty much everything I could do to roll that one over, and this one here is that I'm rolling over now. It's not super heavy, but when the logs have a bend in them, they're not the easiest to roll over. They're hard to roll over one way, and they're easier to roll over another way, so you kind of really only can go one way with them. But this is either a cant hook or a PV that I bought from Tractor Supply for like 30 or 40 bucks. Really all it is two pieces of pipe with a little angle piece of steel and then a little point on the end, and pretty much that is the best way to roll logs and stuff over, especially the big ones. The little ones, generally you can just roll them over yourself or just pick them up and roll them over, so having that is really nice versus having to get some sort of other something else to roll these logs over. You could use a chain to roll it over, I guess, but I'd rather just use that. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and we'll see you on the next video where we split up these logs with my log splitter.